Shalom, and welcome to the Call to Defend live stream, otherwise known as Caleb's Kitchen today. I am Caleb Elliott, and I need to change my name. Hang on. Oh, what should we name it to? Oh, I know. Sahi al-Bigalari. Sahi al-Bigalari. Because for tonight's episode of Ramitdown, I am making breakfast sandwiches. And doing so with bagel, toasted bagel, eggs with cheese, and a nice big old hunk of breakfast sausage. We are going to be reacting today to a video put out by David Wood about the plague. No, not about the plague. About the Muslims in Times Square. Hey, look at that. We went live. And I got called the Sweet Prince. Let people come on in. How are y'all celebrating Ramitdown? Eating anything good? As the comments come in, I broke my thing. I fixed it. Okay. My dish rack that I never use. Because I have a dishwasher. So why would I use a dish rack, right? Okay. I'm going to crack my door a little bit. Just because the area above my stove is not very well ventilated. How does that do with lighting? Oh, cool. So the Lord is returning, apparently, at the top of my stove. Yeah, that does not look good. I'm just going to have to try and squint and see. It looks a lot better. Ooh. Hear that sizzle. A little bit of water on a pan never hurt anybody, neither did any cooking spray. Yeah, hope we're all doing well as people pile in. Hope we're having a good time. Going to be talking about Muslims in New York City and everything that came with that. There was a call to prayer in Times Square over the weekend that just was like a very eye-opening moment, right? Because this is the city that 9/11 happened to, right? The worst Muslim terror attack, arguably, in history. And now we just have open calls to prayer. Not even 3 decades later, which is not even 2.5 decades later. Right? Like, this September will be 25 years since 9/11. And we haven't even made it to there yet, and we already have the Muslim call to prayer in Times Square. So, by all accounts, then, the objective of the Muslims on 9/11 was complete. Right? The objective was to attack America, engage in jihad, and make it Muslim. That worked! Right? It seems to have worked. Yeah, see what I'm saying? There's not really much proper ventilation here, but I can do something cool with the smoke. I don't think that's probably not coming through on camera. Yeah, it's not coming through on camera at all. I was making a little smoke funnel with my hand. Let's see if I burn my apartment down today. I got a fire extinguisher right here. I used to have a fire extinguisher right here. Oh, it's on this side. Alright. So, you know, on the plus side, starting a fire would be a great way to get viewers. Just saying. But yeah, so we're going to watch D. Wood's video on the Muslim call to prayer that occurred in New York City. And while that happens, I am going to be cooking breakfast sandwiches. Thinking we do toasted bagel, sausage, egg with cheese, toasted bagel. I like to crack jokes about how I can't cook. I actually can cook decently. Right, like I'm not, Gordon Ramsay or anything, but I won't kill anyone. I almost did, and it was almost me, because I ate 6 pieces of raw chicken one time. But that's a story for another time. For today, we're going to be cooking actual, that is smoking a lot. That is smoking a lot. Do I have another pan? I do not. All right. Do not set my smoke alarm off. I will be very mad. Actually, wait. Can I just turn it off? Hang on. I think I can remove the batteries from my smoke alarm. I shouldn't bring it further in here. That would just set it off more. Do not paint. Well, I wasn't planning on it. I know it's battery operated. I just gotta find a place where I put the batteries in. I put batteries in it initially. Oh no, this one might not be. Alright, well, we are going to hope. It works. We are going to hope that, oh my goodness, it is really smoky in here. I don't think y'all can see it on the camera. I don't really know what's happened to my pan over there. After I just said I'm not that bad of a cook. It is smoky in here, y'all. Like, it's bad. Hang on, I don't know about this one, Chief. But let's find out. If I burn my apartment down, I burn it down. And it is what it is. Well, we're going to open up a window here, and it's going to get nice and chilly. Okay. I did just open a window, so I apologize for any background noise. But, yeah, it's not really coming through on the camera. It is, like, visible smoke in here. So... Alright, here we go. Oh, I forgot my gloves. Hang on. Always cook meat with gloves. It's just a good idea generally. Okay, smoke. This is starting to get in the bathroom. Starting to smoke detector there. I know some people get like weirded out with I know some people get like weirded out with cooking with gloves and stuff. I just find it to generally be good practice. I'm gonna move the smoke detector out of the smoke-filled living room. Don't go off, 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 don't go off. I'm going to get to cooking the sausage, just so the smoke can go away. Where did I put the sausage? I found the sausage. Alright. Yeah, I know some people get like weirded out cooking with gloves. I just think it's good practice, especially when handling raw meat, like I am now. This package is not for resale, by the way. Wow. No, I just think it's generally good practice, like food safety and everything. I used to work in a kitchen, so I've got food safety drilled into me pretty well. We're just gonna cook with some gloves here, toss some sausage on. That is really hot. Honestly, it might be that I just put too much cooking spray on there, and that's what's causing so much smoke. But some of it just splashed up and hit my hand, and that was hot, and that hurt. It looks to fit about 2 of the sausage things. I plan to cook all of them tonight. And then just eat the rest throughout the week. Wow, it is thick. Alright. Now that we got that going, I'm going to use my raw sausage hands now, my gloves. See, here's some raw sausage for you. And we are going to start watching the D Wood video about the Muslim call to prayer, which occurred in our very own city that never sleeps. Hang on, I did not share the audio. Hang on. Oh, I did. Okay. I don't know how loud it's going to be, but...
Look at this. These are people who claim to respect Jesus. They claim to honor Jesus. They claim to follow Jesus. But they pay absolutely no attention to anything he said. What would Jesus say about Muslims gathering in Times Square to get maximum attention for their prayers while they pretend to fast during Ramadan? We don't have to wonder. All we have to do is read. In Matthew 6, Jesus condemns religious practices that are meant to impress other people, acts of righteousness that are just for show. The chapter begins, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. If you're...
All right, so that's kind of the first point of order that I want to make. That doesn't really make any sense. That's the first point I kind of want to talk about, right, is his statement there correctly, right, that Jesus condemns this sort of attention-seeking for your prayers, right, that your prayers are not intended for you to be glorified by man, but rather to worship and honor God. Here's the thing, though. Islam demands public prayer. But Islam has the call to prayer, which is, excuse me, which is in direct violation of what Christ says there in the Sermon on the Mount. Right, Matthew 6 is all about this. Christ tells us repeatedly not to seek attention for our good deeds. Right, and prayer in itself is a good deed. I want to make that very clear. Prayer is a good deed. It is good to pray. You ought to pray. You ought to pray for one another, and you ought to pray to God, obviously. Prayer in itself is a good thing. So, when Christ commands us not to pray to be seen, he is telling us, hey, David Wood just went live, there you go. He is telling us not to seek attention for the good things that we do. Right? And that's important, because if we are just seeking attention for doing good, then all we are doing we are not serving God, right? We are not serving God with the good that we do. We are simply serving ourselves, right? We're saying, look how good I am. Look all the good that I do. Right? So there was a person at work, one of my coworkers, right? Somebody that I work with, couldn't understand why people didn't want their names attached, right? Christians didn't want their names attached to donations that we were doing for St. Jude. Right? She couldn't understand that. And so I said to her, well, we as Christians believe that we should not let the right hand know what the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Right? So and she was confused with what that meant, so I kind of explained it, right? Like, we don't seek attention from human beings. We don't seek praise from human beings. We seek God. Right? We seek to do good simply because God commands it. Now, Islam is the opposite. Right? Look at how Muhammad lived. All he ever lived for was recognition and attention. Right? And self-gratification. Right? So, of course, he's going to have the public call to prayer. I really hope y'all can hear me over the sizzling meat. It smells so good, by the way. It smells so good. But all we have to understand for why the Muslim call to prayer is in public, right? Why it is public to do it, is to just look at how Muhammad lived. Muhammad lived for himself, for his own pleasure. He was basically a hedonist. Not basically, he was. He was a hedonist. For those who don't know, hedonism is the philosophy that the highest good that you can have is pleasure. Right? So you only ought to really seek pleasure. Muhammad absolutely fits that definition. Then, and the third thing is, right, it shows that an area has been conquered. Right? If you are having a religion practiced so openly and vocally, then that religion is the dominant force of that place. And that's what this demonstration was in Times Square. Right? David didn't talk about it, he simply talked about the hypocrisy, which certainly is true. But the point of this, the point of the call to prayer in the most public place on earth, right, Times Square, Manhattan, New York City, is the best known, the most well-known public place on earth. Right? That's where the ball drops for the new year. Right? That's where you have the cultural center that is Broadway. Right? It's right there near Times Square. You get a bunch of the largest and most well-known stores in the world are right there in Times Square. Right? It's this cultural epicenter, right, for the whole world is right there. So by blasting out the call to prayer and all of these Muslims coming and performing for the call to prayer, performing to be seen, they are saying, we have conquered this area. And the way that happened was Zohran Mamdani. Right? By embracing Zohran Mamdani, New York effectively said, okay, Muslims, you won. Right? You did it. You got it. You did the thing. I need a fork. I need a couple forks, actually. Actually, no, I just need the one. Yeah, so effectively New York has invited in Islam, and so now Islam is showing up and saying, okay, you invited us in, we're going to show you what the consequences of that are. This is no longer your city. This is no longer your city. This is no longer the place that you get to call your own. Now this is ours. Now this is what we want. That's effectively what they have just said. That sausage is nearly done. I should get the bagels going. That's what I should do. I kind of want to serve it all together. That way it's nice and hot for me. It's a nice hot meal. That's why I haven't put the eggs in quite yet. Because I think the eggs ought to go in last. Because they will cool off the quickest. But neither here nor there. Yeah, no, so effectively this demonstration was to show that Islam has prevailed over New York City. Right? That attack, that target that they longed for decades, right? It's now theirs. And that's effectively what they're saying. Right? We have won. This is ours now. Oh dear, that bagel kind of fell apart. That's okay. As long as it goes in the toaster hole, it'll work. Alright, that started. I'm going to take the sausage off. Toss the next two on. Burned that one a little bit, but that's okay. Yeah, I definitely use too much cooking spray. Is what it is, you know? What was I doing? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's the point I wanted to make there, is the overall purpose of this. Right? The overall purpose of doing such a private and good deed publicly, right? Such as prayer. The point of the prayer is to say, we've won. This is ours now. Our territory, our city. We accomplished what we set out to do almost 25 years ago. So we'll keep moving forward here.
Your goal when you pray or fast or give to charity is to be seen by others. Then being seen by others is your reward. You get no reward from God. Verses 5 to 6. And when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you.
Okay. So, this passage often gets taken out of context by skeptics. And what the skeptics will say is that this means that Christians shouldn't pray in public. Right? Christians should not pray at all in public. And how dare you, Christian, go against what Jesus said there? Is that actually what Jesus is saying? No, of course not, right? He's not saying that you can never go to a street corner and pray. He's saying don't do it to receive praise from other people. Don't do it so that people go, wow, look at that guy praying on the street corner. Look how faithful he is. Right? If you go and you pray on a street corner, like let's say you're going out to protest abortion, right? And you are standing on a street corner in front of an abortion clinic and you are praying in front of it. Which, careful, that can get you arrested. Actually, in some places that can get you arrested. We try not to do that anymore. Whole First Amendment thing, which, by the way, that would violate two statutes of the First Amendment, right? Freedom of assembly and freedom of religion. But that's neither here nor there. It's not saying that you can't go do that, right? Because in that case, you're doing it for a righteous cause, right? You are doing that to go protest the slaughter of unborn children. That's a good thing for you to do. When it becomes a problem is when you're doing it to seek righteousness, right? Or not righteousness, to seek other people believing you to be righteous. Right? So if you go out and you just start praying loudly on the street corner. And your goal, your intention, is for people to go, wow, look at that guy. He's so religious. He's super devout. He's praying on the street corner. He's praying so that people can hear the gospel. But in your heart is like, yes, give me this attention. Give me more of that. That's what Jesus is speaking against. And we may think that doesn't really happen. It does. I can assure you it does. Right? The passage, I think David skips out on it, but the passage goes on to say, do not heap up, or do not throw out empty phrases like the Gentiles do. Right? Thinking their prayers will be heard. Right? The people that make a performance out of prayer. And that happens a lot in mega churches, but it also happens in local churches. Right? Where they just toss out words just to be heard, just to say something. It becomes a performance for them. It becomes an opportunity for them to speak in tons of words and for people to hear them and think, wow, they must have a really strong connection with God because look how they're talking to him. Listen to how they're speaking to him. They must be so close with God. They must be so devout. And Christ is saying, they are far from me. They have no idea who I am. That's what the passage is talking about. That's what it's speaking against. It's speaking against this exact ideology. Like the one that says, you go out 5 times a day, face to the ground, and pray publicly so that people know you are doing it. So that people can see your devoutness. Right? We make fun of this vivo a lot, right? The dot that appears on their forehead. We make fun of that a lot because that's exactly what it is. Right? They will bash their heads into the ground. They will hit their heads on the ground intentionally hard enough to leave a mark so that people can know, wow, that guy was really praying. Right? He was face down to the ground so hard, his face pressed into the ground, and it left a mark on him. That's how devout and religious that guy is. I'm going to add the eggs. When in reality, their entire thoughts about themselves. They care nothing for God. Now, I'm not saying that the Muslims here do not care for God. It's entirely possible that they truly believe in their hearts and in worship that they are doing the right thing. They can believe that. I'm saying the ideology is about the self. It's about the desire to be recognized and to dominate, which is exactly what Christ talks about not doing. David goes on to say later that Islam is an anti-Christ ideology. He's so unbelievably right about that. A little more cheese. He's so unbelievably right about that. Oh, I did not spray this pan. Oh, that is readily apparent. The eggs are sticking here. Oh no! Oh, those eggs are a little bit burnt, but it's okay, we'll live. I will save the eggs. Kind of. I made my kid breakfast this morning. The eggs came out unbelievable. They were probably some of the best eggs I've ever made in my life. They were so good, dude. They were so good. Alright, we're going to stick this now on the bagel. Oh, yeah. Oh, that came out good. That came out good, though. Alright. But yeah, that's kind of the point I wanted to make there, was, don't be lured into this false trap by skeptics who say that, well, this means Christians can never pray in public. It's not. It's talking about this kind of thing, right? When you go out to be seen, you go out to demonstrate that we've conquered this place, right? Or to receive righteousness from, or perceived righteousness from others, right? To receive perceived righteousness from others. That's what Christ is condemning here, not just praying in public.
If you're praying to put on a show, if you're praying to be seen by others, like all of these people, then being seen by others is your reward, no reward from God. But Jesus isn't done. Verses 16 to 18. And when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you.
So, the whole point of this event was so that people knew it was Ramadan and that Muslims were fasting. Exactly what Christ says to not do there, right? Which is the point that David is getting at here. I think these are probably done. Put this on this side of the bagel. Just kidding. I want to put it onto this side, and I want to stick some butter on the top half of the bagel there. We are good to go. Just need a knife and some butter. But yeah, right. David's entire point there is, wow, it is smoky in this kitchen. David's entire point is essentially being proven, right? Which is, we're going to use half a tablespoon of butter. I'm not a huge butter guy. I think as we recall from the mac and cheese, I am not a huge butter guy. But David's whole point here is that the Muslims are doing this so that people know they're fasting, right? Which is exactly what Christ says not to do. Is to be seen by others fasting, right, for your own righteousness. Now, you may fast, right? Like I intermittent fast. I don't do that so other people know. Like I'm not telling you that so you can know and you can go, oh wow, look how devout he is. Y'all, it ain't for religious reasons. It's because I'm fat. I want to lose some weight, so I'm intermittent fasting, right? That's what I'm doing it for. So I don't care if y'all know that. But if I were fasting for God, nobody should know that except for me and God. Right? And obviously, you know, your spouse might know, right? If you're married, your spouse is going to know that you're fasting because you're not eating and they live with you. Right? Your kids might know, right? But people out in the community, not even your church members, should know that you're fasting. Right? Now, you may look like you start to lose some weight. People may say, oh, you look good, you're losing weight. And internally, you're going to be thinking, yes, it's because I don't eat. But they shouldn't know. You shouldn't go up to them and say, hey, by the way, I'm fasting. If you do that, I hope they look you dead in the eyes and point you right to this passage. All right, hang on. I'm going to take this off. Tell me that don't look kind of good. All right, we got the bagel. We got a buttered bagel on top. We got sausage on the bottom. We got egg, and we got nice bagel bun. Come on, tell me that doesn't look kind of good. It sounds really good. I'm very excited. I just got to do a little bit of cleanup here. But yeah, wow. It's kind of funny. The living room is smokier than the kitchen. I genuinely, there's just a haze in the living room. There's just a haze in there. I'm going to leave that stuff on the stove while it cools. All right. Oh. So, hang on, moment of truth. How did this, oh, it's falling apart a little bit. How did this turn out? Really hot. So good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I do need a fork because my egg kind of went everywhere. It's also a little too hot right now, but that is so good. Oh, I did like burn the eggs a tiny bit, but only on like a little bit of it. That was phenomenal. Homemade breakfast sandwiches, baby. Oh, I gotta wrap the other sausage patties. Sorry. Any hoozle. Oh, the bagel even came out. The butter bagel came out really well too. Which I realized it's literally just a bagel with butter, but some of the sausage grease is like soaking into it. It's kind of like buttered sausage bread. It's so good. But yeah, nobody should know you're fasting, right? Because the whole point of fasting, and this is something that I'd love to do like an actual video on, although I don't think anybody would watch it. The whole point of fasting is to draw closer to God, right? Or to serve some sort of functional purpose. Right? When Christ fasts in the wilderness, it's to prepare him for his ministry. I'm actually going to turn a fan on. Wow. Wow. I actually went and turned a fan on in that living room. It is unbelievably smoky. I don't know what I did to produce so much smoke, but it's bad. Alright, back to the sandwich. Yeah, but Christ, when he fasts in the wilderness, does so. No, don't fall apart, bagel. Bagel, no. Oh, it all fell out, the egg. Oh. That's so good, though. Yeah, when Christ fasts in the wilderness, I got my chair. He does so in preparation for his ministry. Right, like he goes out into the wilderness alone. He doesn't do it so that others know he's fasting. Right? He does it for a purpose. He does it to prepare for the ministry ahead. Right, and ultimately to prepare for the crucifixion. Now, he doesn't fast ahead of the crucifixion directly, right? But he's preparing for the amount of suffering that he's about to endure in the world. Just kind of scooping some of this egg back onto the bagel. The problem is the bottom half of the bagel split in half. So it's kind of falling apart in that regard. I'm going to turn it upside down and eat it like this. Oh, yeah. There ought to be a purpose to your fasting. If you are fasting, let me pull it back up. Cooperate with me, please. Thank you. If you are fasting so that you can be seen, you entirely missed the point of fasting. And that, again, that's what this public demonstration was meant for, right? It's to say, hey, it's Ramadan, we're all fasting. Look how devout we are. When in actuality, of course, we are celebrating Ramitdown. They're not actually fasting. I like that viewership spiked right as I was cleaning my teeth. Peak content right there. They're not actually even fasting, right? So they're faking it. But they're trying to say, look how devout we are. Look how great we are. I'm sorry, you're not. You're not great. Not if you're faking it like this. Not if you're seeking attention like this. The whole point of the demonstration is for them to seek attention. And that is just something I cannot understand. If you truly were devout, why pull something like this? would it not be evident in the way that you were living your life? Would it not be plain to see in the way that you are living your life? If it is not, then doing this does not make you any more devout. All it does is make you a worse hypocrite.
Jesus condemns prayer. That's meant to be seen by others. He condemns fasting. That's meant to be seen by others. If you're praying and fasting in order to gain a reputation for righteousness, Jesus says that your prayer and fasting are worthless before God. But it gets worse, because when Jesus condemns fasting that's meant to be seen by others, he's talking about people who are really fasting. He's talking about people who are really fasting, but they want everyone to notice. Imagine what Jesus would think of this public fasting if the people doing it aren't really fasting. Imagine the level of contempt Jesus would have for a religious practice of public fasting.
Now, hang on.
That isn't even fasting. Ramadan is a month of feasting that for some reason is called fasting. It's trans fasting. It's feasting that identifies as fasting. Muslims gorge themselves with food at night, then gorge themselves with food early in the morning, then sleep all day.
All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about David's language here. I kind of get that he's trying to speak from the Muslim perspective, because he's sort of addressing Muslims in this video, but he's also not. He's addressing us. Y'all can probably hear that fan, can't you? Did it help? Oh, it helped a lot. Turn it down a notch so it's not quite jet engine takeoff. Hopefully that helps with the background noise. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. Alright. Phone is blowing up right now. So I'm gonna just make sure it's something important. Nope. Cool. Well, prayer requests are always important, but I'll address that later. Words. Oh, yeah. I don't like the use of the words, imagine what Jesus would think. Okay. Firstly, he is, right? Jesus is observing this. I get, again, he's trying to talk from the Muslim perspective, but it's just, I don't think it's the best phrased, and I think it kind of plays into their whole thing. Neither here nor there. Really, the point I want to talk about is what he's talking about, right? Which is, I do like the term he uses, trans fasting, right? So, something identifying as something it's not. Which in this case, he calls it feasting, identifying as fasting. There is certainly some truth to that, because they do just eat such huge meals, since they only really eat like twice a day. They do snack in between, generally, sometimes, depending on the case. I really do feel bad, though, for the Muslims who do actually like legitimately starve themselves because they have day jobs and can't afford to sleep all day, so they basically just eat one really big meal a day. So they're essentially intermittent fasting. Right. Provided, that's impressive. But I do that. Right? That's what I do. I eat once a day. Today, actually, I ate twice. But, no, I ate 3 times today. It's a rarity for me, but I was pretty hungry. So, the nice thing is my diet is self-imposed. It's not like for anything, devout. I just don't want to be fat. But yeah, so it's impressive, I guess, what they're doing. But again, I've been doing that for, I did it back in 2025 from August to like October-ish. I ate once a day. And then again, I picked it back up the end of December. And again, I'm just doing it for health reasons. I'm not doing it to, observe anything other than hopefully a shrinking waistline. But they're supposed to be doing it. You're supposed to be actually like fasting, right? They call it fasting. If you're going to fast. Right? I mean, you can certainly fast for 30 days. If you want to do intermittent fasting, all right, that's fine. But don't do stuff like this. And don't pretend to be so devout that you're like, starving yourself and you're fasting when you're not. Right? You're not. You are doing this to gain attention. You are doing this to promote how holy you are, how devout you are. Do you actually think yourself devout? Do you believe that you are devout? If your mindset is, I'm going to go to a public call to prayer so that people can see how devout I'm being during the holy month. Do you think Allah approves of that? Do you think you are genuinely pleasing Allah by doing this kind of thing? Like going to the most public place on earth so that people can see how devout you are. Maybe he does. Maybe because Allah, is the best of schemers. Maybe this is what he's scheming behind the scenes the whole time. Is he just wants people to think, look how good that guy is. Right? Not Allah. Right? No one's going to look at this and think Allah is great. This is for the people who are there. Now again, some of them really may be so self-deluded that they truly believe this is what Allah wants from them. But, firstly, obviously, it's not. Secondly, all you're doing is glorifying yourself. Allah is not going to be glorified through this. Right? Were he real, he would not be glorified through this. This does not glorify anybody but yourself. So not only are you lying about what you're doing, you are doing it for selfish motivations. Which all lying is tied to a selfish motivation. Let's be honest. Stop doing it. Don't do that. Right? You have the opportunity to actually go out and give to the poor, right? I mean, that's supposed to be one of the pillars of Islam. Is alms. Well, then go ahead and give alms. And stop seeking attention for yourself. But they can't. Because Islam is all about the self.
They wake up in the evening and gorge themselves with food again. Then they gorge themselves again in the early morning. And again sleep all day. They call this month-long cycle of binge eating and sleeping fasting. No one else in the history of the world thinks you're fasting when you're feasting. But this is Islam, so remember that the rules of opposite world are in full effect. The Muslim population spends a month out of every year binge eating while pretending that binge eating is fasting. And here we have Muslims gathering in Times Square to make sure the entire world knows they're praying and pretending to fast.
Yeah. It's wild to me. Right. I've talked a lot about the intention here. I want to talk, now that he kind of brought that up, I want to talk about the desire. Now, intention and desire are usually quite closely linked, but they're not exact. Intention is obviously what you intend something to be. Duh. Right? That's what you want something to be. That's what you want to accomplish. Desire is a little different. Right? If intention is the means, desire is the object. Right? It's not the how you hope to achieve something, right? It's the intention. The desire is the what you hope to achieve. I should phrase it that way. I think I misspoke earlier. Intention is how, desire is what. I do not understand. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I shaved my beard so I don't look like a jihadi anymore. Right? I trimmed it. I was getting pretty scruffy, pretty curly, stretchy. I trimmed it down. We're back to, not quite, obviously, baby face, but, you know, stubbles. But I do not understand the desire for people to praise you. I get generally, right? Everyone wants to be told that they're doing something right. Sure. I do not understand going to this level just so somebody will talk good about me. That is like next level narcissism. And I don't mean to be unkind to these people. I just have to call it like I see it. I'm sure a lot of these people are actually quite nice in person. Because for the most part, they appear to be Westerners who are converts to Islam. They don't appear to have come from actual Muslim countries. So I'm sure they're just kind people in general. Not kind, nice people in general. There's a difference. Talked about that before. I think I did. I might have been at a ministry event. I don't recall. But they seem like they would be nice people. But even nice people can be narcissistic and not realize it. This action is inherently narcissistic. This action is inherently about the self. And I don't understand the desire there. Again, I understand the general desire to be praised, right? Which is, you know, hey, you know, you did really good on that assignment. Or, hey, you know, thank you for all your help, you know, moving that couch. Or whatever it is. I understand that. I don't understand the, hey, look at me bash my head into the ground so hard I get a mark. Praise me for that. That is wild to me. That is beyond me. I do not understand that. I cannot understand that for the life of me. I don't know how to put myself into that frame of mind. Right? Where you're going to go out and do a religious demonstration to be seen. Now, perhaps that's just because, you know, I'm a Christian and we are commanded not to do that, so I don't think about that, right? I don't do that to be noticed. I don't care. The best thing for me is nobody remembers my name in 100 years from now, but rather they remember the impact for Christ that I made. Right? If nobody knows who I am within 100 years, but Christ is glorified by something I did in 100 years, that is the best possible thing. That is so awesome. That is so wonderful. This action that these people are taking, the Muslims in Times Square are taking, is so that people will remember them. Not the impact they made, but so that people will remember them. That's beyond me. That is just simply beyond me. Got about 2 minutes left.
Jesus condemns doing acts of righteousness to be seen by others. He calls people who do acts of righteousness for show hypocrites. Everything in Islam is for show. Look at me, I'm praying. Look at me, I'm fasting. Look at me, I'm giving dawah. Check out my zabiba. I think it's safe to say that when an entire religion encourages doing acts of righteousness to be seen by others.
Also, something I am just now noticing, like right in this moment, they have the men separated from the women for prayer. Like, I know that's a customary thing in Islam, like, especially in mosques. I didn't think they'd do it here. I just now noticed that for the first time. Look, this is the women's section. This is New York City grading, by the way. Like, this is funded by the city. This is provided by the city. This barrier here, that's what I'm looking for. The barriers here are funded by the city. That's freaking wild, dude. And so the city is now sponsoring sex segregation, I guess. That's great, dude. No, that's awesome. Congratulations, liberals. You played yourself.
Jesus would call it a religion of hypocrisy. Happy Ramadan to all the Muslims who are watching this in the middle of the night because you sleep all day. You claim to respect Jesus when all you do is the exact opposite of everything he said. If you have a drop of genuine respect for Jesus, then remember what Jesus said about your hypocritical version of make-believe fasting. As you're gorging yourselves with food early in the morning and preparing for a difficult day of sleeping. If you do take everything Jesus said about what not to do as part of your religion, and you roll it all up into a ball, you get Islam. Islam is an antichrist religion. It's antichrist nonsense. Leave this pagan hypocrisy.
So, I think he caps it off well there. Islam is antichrist. We are not saying that the Muslims are antichrists, or that the antichrist will be a Muslim, but that it is ANTI-Christ, right? CHRIST. It would be wonder if I could SPEL. Come on, that was a little funny. All right, come on, that was a little funny. I know I pulled the same joke in the lyric video. Go check that out, by the way, if you haven't. Came out with a lyric video on Valentine's Day, 10 days ago, that I think a lot of you would love. So yeah, go check out the lyric video. It was a lot of work. It actually took me 13 hours to make each of the slides, and Josh significantly less time to edit. Yeah, each one of those slides was obviously pieces of the Quran that I had to lay out by hand, and each one took about 15 minutes because I chose the wrong surface to do it on. And so it was just like I was fighting static electricity. It was building up on the pieces, and they were moving all over the place by themselves. It was a nightmare. It took me forever. Anyways. We are not calling the Antichrist Muslim. We are not saying Muslims are Antichrists. Although I guess in some sense they are, right? In the fact that they do not worship Christ as the one true God. In which case anybody who does not do that is Antichrist. But we are saying they are ANTI-CHRIST. They are anti-Christ, meaning they are against Christ. Right? Islam as a religion is against Christ. It is opposite of Christ. It stands against everything that he stood for. and continues to stand for to this day. All right, what he stood for when he gave the teachings, and the teachings are consistent to this day. It is in complete and total opposition to Jesus Christ the Lord. I wanted to do a little bit of a shorter stream today, A, because Josh wasn't going to be on, and B, because it is the State of the Union, and that is actually an important event for your boy. So I'm going to go watch that, provided we don't get any comments in the next few moments while I do my closing monologue. If you do not want to be Antichrist, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps us out, helps us get this message out further, helps us to get the analysis of real-world events and important things that happen both in the Christian community and just in the world abroad out to many people so that they can come to know Christ in fullness. Hope this has been enjoyable for you. With all that said, Deus Vult. We will see you in the next video.